Hello, and welcome to the Old Farm Bus Podcast. This is the Back of the Bus session.
Hello and welcome to the Old Farm Bus, Back of the Bus Sessions podcast. I'm absolutely over the moon that I've got this guest on with me. I've heard your name before and then you turn into like a mythical creature to me because everyone was like, have you seen that Sam Heaton doing stuff on his own now? Have you seen this? I'm like, who's Sam? And then the person I work with, Martin Illingworth, always wears everything Eyre Llew on his hats, on his top. I'm like, who's these guys? We put you on, I think we went down to Wales. Okay. Long drive, and we had your album on. I was like, wow, what a sound that is. So welcome to the bus, the Old Farm Bus, Sam Heaton. Yeah. You wait for the post-production of this, mate. I've got a new little crowd sound and it sounds amazing.
You can work for the football at the minute, mate.
So, Sam, matey, how have you been holding up?
Good.
Through this crazy time?
Yeah, lockdown's been just been a roller coaster of emotions. I'm sure it has for most people. It's been good. I'm like feeling a lot more positive now and excited about the future of stuff. And I think it's just riding the wave, like most people, really.
Riding the wave. That's how I feel with you, Lan. Anything that goes down, you're somebody, I don't know you properly well, but you will just ride the wave. Or like when I met you on that day, where did we meet? Oh, I've got it down here. The songwriter sessions.
Yeah.
Ben Mark Smith put on.
Yeah.
And I went over and I was a little nervous to meet you, to be honest, mate. I was because you were so bloody good. And I was
mate.
He's magical. I went over and you were just so relaxed, so calm, kind. I was like, he rides the waves, just flows with it.
I can be sure in saying I was probably the most nervous one there of the two of us. Yeah, it's nerve-wracking experience.
You didn't give it off, mate. You didn't. You didn't show it.
That's very flattering.
But like, because you're always on it with the music and you've been moving all over. When it's like shut down, no gigs, how did your mind go with that at the first? Can you remember the initial reaction, like we're in lockdown?
Yeah, I mean, I was. It's weird because I work for DHP Family, like part time when I'm back at home and from tours and stuff. I work for them as like a local promoter and stuff. And I was with a friend Maddie who works at the Bodega, does the same role as me, just different venue, and we were booking Dot to Dot Festival.
Wow.
And I really remember like spending 2-3 days of Dot to Dot, like confirming local acts in, trying to confirm venues and stuff like that. And then the lockdown thing started happening, and we were just like speaking to the powers above, like, well, is this festival happening? Like, do we carry on? You've got like 200 acts to book.
Wow.
And people weren't getting back to us with like definite answers, and it was so confusing, and we just felt in a real limbo situation for the first time. And and the day after that, the lockdown happened. God. I think this was back in March, and we were just like, oh man, like, what does this mean? Like, do we carry on working, or what do we do? And I got back to my venue that night, and my manager was like, yeah, I don't know what to do right now, mate. Maybe just don't come in for your shift tomorrow. In fact, indefinitely. He said, this is just weird. Like, I don't know. We'll work something out. And then there was all that. I'm sure most people went through it. Like, but there's that insecurity about, well, what do we do about money? And then one by one, over about the fortnight following, gigs, more and more festivals started getting cancelled, but rearranged for like September, October. And push back again.
Push back. Yeah.
Me and the Eyre Llew boys, we didn't have the most dates we've had planned, but we've definitely had some of our most exciting ones. Like we had like tour dates in the Baltics and Baltic states and stuff, like that, and Europe festivals, and we were like in conversation and organisation with a festival in South Africa about potentially going out there.
Whereabouts are you playing in South Africa?
In Joburg.
Okay.
There's a festival out there that asks us to play. And there's just loads of little things like that.
I've lived in Joburg before.
Did you?
Yeah.
Hey, that's mint. I've never been. I've never been to the continent of Africa at all. So it was another one of those like tick off the list.
Wow,
like,
that's the only place you've got left then, like from
that
all
and
the
the Americas.
places Wow.
The Americas are probably something we'll do last, just out of the chance of it, I suppose. But I don't know, it's just one of those where you thought, It sucks, but there's people that are worse off
And
than we are.
that's sort of what we're talking about in the kitchen. I like about you, you've seemed to be able to silver line, like what you were talking about. It wasn't just doom and gloom in the end.
Yeah.
You saw another way of playing with it. So have you managed to be creative and active in these times?
That was important, I think. We've been touring a lot we've been a band now since mid 2014. Played our first show in 2015, and then ever since we've just been gigging a lot, like around 70 shows a year, but it will be like traveling thousands of miles and stuff in loads of different countries, and it's been amazing. But I think there comes a time when this lockdown has the yin and yang, as we were talking about earlier, of all of that, is that we've had time to reflect and time to just re-energize a little bit.
Sure.
I don't know where we'd be right now if we were constantly touring, and you'd burn out a little bit.
I was going to say, if you're always on the move, was there a moment that with the lads it was like, we need a little minute now to settle? And I suppose you don't want lockdown, but it did give you a moment to settle the dust and think about what's next.
Yeah, we did agree that, right, we have to like not gig as much, just kind of not cancel stuff, but just be reflective on whether this was the right opportunity for us this year, because we need to write this next record and we want it to be a step up from our last.
We're going to blame lockdown on you then, because you asked the universe for a moment and,
and we got it.
Eyre Llew's fault, everybody. This is it. What is it like being in a band that did it go from 0 to 100 in success then, in essence? Because you've done pretty well, let's go for it, but when was the moment you thought, lads, we're doing it? We're getting to do our dream around the world.
Yeah, I remember the first time we went to Europe, that felt real.
Right.
The first time we went in Asia, we played in Korea. We actually, some of our successes have come from those kind of opportunities and gigs that you never expect. With,
sure.
The way we got spotted or scouted to go out to Korea was we played like a showcase festival in Wales, and the bar we played in was, if anyone saw it, they would look at you and go, "What, you played in here?" Blah, blah, blah. And we're like, "Yeah, we played in there twice." And the first time there was only about 14 people, including the bar staff and the engineer in the room, but just happened that one of them was a booker for somewhere in Canada. One of them was a Korean booking agent. One of them was someone else, and they all asked us to go out.
A huge sound, like it's crazy big sound that you create. So what's that like in a little pub down in the local?
I think it's we played Rough Trade Nottingham one year amongst. I think I can't remember exactly many details about the show, but we played amongst a load of metal bands, and one of the bar staff was just like, that was such a palate cleanser amongst the night, because you don't really see that kind of, like, I don't know how to describe it even myself, but it's like loads of reverb, so it's like arena rock in a way, in a small venue. And there's moments like that, I think, that really stay with people, because it's something that you wouldn't see in the normal setting, like seeing a gig in a bus, or seeing like a band do a crazy
really
sound
is
in a
nice
small
seeing
venue.
all these events and venues popping up there, isn't it? And just
I love it.
taking music all over the world in all different settings and places.
That's where the romanticism is in music, in live music, seeing those kind of special gigs that stay with you forever. My friend was only telling me yesterday, the drummer in Laurie Illingworth's band, he was saying that audible memories are more like potent on the mind than visual ones.
Okay.
So you can listen to something and relate back to a moment.
So is that
much more
is that not down to the individual, or is that like to him, or just
the human
race?
Apparently.
Okay.
And I love the idea of
sense,
that.
Actually.
So you could like listen to an album, it takes you back to a thing. You can imagine more about the setting you were when you first heard that. And then we all have that with different albums where, there's like You Me at 6 album for me that was that one song on that album that made me think about driving down the A46 to see like
I know the feeling,
a past relationship. And there's this other thing that made me think about, I've just been in a fight with these bunch of guys who we got started on by a bunch of chavs, and this is the song we heard when we
Yes, yeah.
like carried my mate home after he's been beat up, and loads of just
Dry
random
your
little
eyes, mate, Mike
awful
Skinner.
yeah.
Oh, Mike,
Wise
what are
man.
you doing to me, brother? Sorry, man. I interrupted though your story of that
No,
feeling
it's
when you were. I know podcasts will go everywhere,
Yeah.
but we'll try to jump back
Ride in the
to that
wave.
bit. Mikey crashing into him every time. So we'll jump into that moment as well when you were at that little gig then, and you got scouted to go to bloody, where was it?
Korea.
Oh wow.
Yeah, well, we got asked by an agent from Canada. This lady asked us if we wanted to play a festival out there. We were like, oh, that'd be amazing.
What was she doing in that pub as well? Why were?
There was loads of agents at
Right,
this festival,
okay.
just like floating about, watching other bands while they're waiting
Amazing.
for their own to go on. And then there was this guy that we've become very, very good friends with since, who said, do you want to come out to Korea? And these two like festivals clashed. And we were like, well, guys, what do you want to do? Do you want to go to Canada? Do you want to go to Korea?
That's not a normal personal decision.
Weird. Weird.
So cool.
Following that, we went through the process of accepting them, and just it was one of those, we applied for funding, we got it. Everything just seemed to work out so perfectly that we were just like, we're the type of band where we're skeptical about stuff. So something will come in, they'll offer us something, an amazing opportunity, and we'll say, okay, sounds really cool, of course we're interested, let's try and work it out. But we won't get it's a defense mechanism, I suppose. That
Sounds good though. It's an
we
important
don't get excited
thing.
about it.
Yeah.
This career thing happened in mid-May. We were in conversation about that. We going through all the process of accepting it, sorting it out, thinking, don't know how we're going to pay for this, applying for funding, we'll probably never get it. We got the funding. We were like, oh my God, this is happening. September comes, we've booked our flights, we're going to Korea, it's all planned. All we had to do now was announce that we're doing it. And it was such a weird scenario to think that, well, we've not even been to Europe yet, but we're going to Korea. It was cool, man.
Wow.
And we went out there, made obviously a good impression. The guy became a very good friend, and he is now our booking agent in Asia Pacific, and he's got us out there like a few times since at other things. And yeah, and again, the same scenario happened about getting spotted to go to Korea, but when we was in Korea, we got spotted to play Glastonbury. And you just never expect that you could be performing on the other side.
You were in Korea,
Yeah.
and then in Korea they were like, "You're coming to play Glastonbury." Wow.
The booker of the John Peel stage was watching our set. So as the ticket sales opened for Glastonbury, this is in 2018. The day the ticket sales went live for Glasto, it was like 9 a.m. in the morning. But because of the time difference, we were on stage playing a show in Korea.
Yeah.
And the booker was in the crowd, like on his phone, like his phone was going crazy. But we didn't know this. We were like oblivious, just playing the show.
Yeah.
Loads of Koreans and stuff, and then this like tall white guy in the middle of it.
Came up to you
Afterwards, I went to the merch stand because we've got a
Yeah.
queue of these girls and stuff, and Korean people that want selfies with bunny filters on and like want album signing and selfies.
Hey, look, there's
and
Sam.
stuff.
He's a cat.
Yeah. Oh, thank you. It was amazing.
Yes,
Whilst like Jack and Jack are on the stage packing up, they said, "You go and do that." We've got this like system where we'll pack up as quick. You get to the merch stand and like sort that out, and as soon as we've done this, we'll come and join you. It's like great, and that's our way of dealing with the merch stuff.
Got a plan.
While that was happening, my agent was there, Pat, who's the guy who invited us over.
Yeah,
and he was
yeah,
like, "Oh, do you realise it was in the crowd?" I was like, "No." He was like, "The booker for Glastonbury." I was like, "Really? Oh my God." He was like, "Yeah," and he was on his phone the whole time. Like, he wasn't even watching the gig. Like, can you believe? Like, and I was thinking, "Oh, well, mate, don't worry about it. At least he was there. It was amazing. He was there though." And he was like, "Yeah, well, I just hope he liked it." It's like, I'm really excited for you guys. I just don't want to. I was like, "Mate, don't worry about it. We've got a queue of people here. We need to sort this out." Sort that out. All the while, when we were having that conversation, this guy was talking to Jack and Jack as they were coiling cables at the front of the stage, saying, "Loved it. Do you want to play Glastonbury?" "Yeah, brilliant." And then
Where was he from? I loved it.
somewhere in the UK.
He sounds like so many people I know. I just can't put my finger on it.
Dad? Yeah. No, it's great. But that's one of those fairy tale moments. Like there's still like
What
a little
story,
bit of
man.
romantic kind of
all
belief
unfolds.
in the music industry like that.
From what you said there as well, though, about having skepticism when these big things happen, it's so important as an artist or as an anybody that's getting opportunities happen on the business to not just dive down to everything. Like, I see a lot of my friends that they've been approached by a manager or something, and straight away they're just like, I've got a manager, I'm going down it. And then suddenly later down the line, it's like they've got contracts and the managers are wanting so much percentage, which is understandable. But it's just when you do just dive at everything and just take it all in and just get excited at any moment, that I think Martin says, like, to have healthy skepticism nowadays, when you're looking on the internet at things and not just going to clickbait and you're talking to people, you've got to constantly be aware and conscious of every moment. And
definitely, yeah.
I suppose that's why it's got you to the where you've got to. You pick the right things for you at the time, and you've picked the right settings and the right people to work with.
Don't get me wrong, it took a long while to learn that as well.
Yeah.
Like, I was very much in the beginning of the band, like,
gotta go
drive.
Yeah,
if I'm not doing it myself, no one's going to do it. And there is a huge element of that's still true. But I think as I've matured a bit and got a little bit older, I've realised that I can't do this on my own. And my bandmates are really important, integral, obviously, but so is our team and the fans and stuff like that come around that, and the friendships that you grow. It's more so about being present in the moment. So.
What a beautiful thing. Like, see everybody, that was great. Sam's just told you how to do life, and that's incredible. Like, for young artists now that speak to me and they're like, how do you get successful? Or not that I know, because I've just done me, but like, how can I get to this point? And I think that's the greatest bit of advice you could give, is just be present, be in the moment, and be honest with yourself in every situation and meeting or anything. So I think, I really enjoyed that conversation of how to treat yourself and how to act in the scene, especially when you get into the levels you're getting to.
It's relatable with anything, Everyone's been there and just been scrolling on a phone when they shouldn't be. And just put it up on airplane mode for a little bit and just feel like I'm here, I'm listening, see what happens. It's exciting.
So now we're on the horizon, the bright lights are here, music's back, nearly, we're so close. How are you feeling now? Have you had that time to recuperate, regenerate, refresh, and you're just ready to go again? Or
definitely. I think it's more I want to be a bit more strategic with my time. I think I'm very conscious now with trying to create the balance in things. Setting aside time to earn money and to make time for this and to have social time, and what we were talking about, like Warhammer and stuff. And it's in some ways, it's a bit of a should we mention this?
Of course we should. Dive in, man.
But me and the Eyre Llew boys, we got invited to go out to Hungary as part of this artist development camp. Effectively like a summer camp you'd imagine in America, but they gathered about 19 different bands or artists from around Europe.
Wow.
So there's loads of different nationalities there, but me and JB from the band went out and sat there for a week, and they had everything from there's one of the musicians from Idlewild there was a label manager, an artist manager, there was a creative arts development officer from Poland, and there was a counsellor and psychotherapist and you had sessions with all these people and workshops as a group, and a big important part was for you to talk and be open with the other artists at this thing, to learn about their difficulties and realise you're not alone and make friends and friendships or whatever. Part of that camp left us with feeling really lost, actually, which you wouldn't expect, because it was meant for the reverse effect. But one of the things we had from our counselling sessions and stuff with the people there is they said, you're doing everything right. We can't fault anything you're doing, because you've done so much already, and you are doing so much. You've got this big Asian tour coming up for 2.5 months, and you've done Europe, and you're doing amazing. You've done everything DIY. We can't fault it. But what you need to do is do less of it. And that was so confusing for me and Jack to kind of realise and I think accept, especially for the first 24 hours, we felt kind of a bit, angry is the wrong word, but very kind of, hang on.
Flustered.
What are they talking about? You know, we've put so much effort into everything we do. We're doing everything right, but we need to do less of it. Doesn't make sense, you know. And I think we were the only artists of that week where they called us back to have a second thing, because one of the ladies, she was like, I don't, apologise is the wrong word, but I want to really clarify and like hone in what it was we're trying to say. You know, I think from the sounds of it, it sounds like you're just putting everything into this and not into anything else. And we said, yeah, that's what you meant to do, right? And they were like, no, not at all. Like, you need to have like a hobby.
Yeah.
And they said, what is your hobby? And we were, both of us, like, I think we both immediately said, oh, it's music. And they were like, no, but what's your hobby? Music is your job. What's your hobby? And we were like, well, is music our job? Because, you know, we're not making a good professional living out of it. It's covering on costs to tour the world and do 25 countries all over the place. But, you know, it's a really confusing message what you're saying. They said, for example, this chap, he does squash. He likes to go and play squash. This chap, you know, likes to go running. I personally like to do like embroidery and knitting and stuff and things like that. What do you do on the side? And we both looked at each other and we thought, literally
that.
And it wasn't that.
Okay.
I don't feel like it made us any less interesting or anything like that. But it definitely made us realise that maybe there is like a hole in our life that we could use this creative outlet to treat that as like a professional side, but not allow the angry emotions to get soaked up in that. You can take them out in your hobby or release them through a hobby.
Okay.
And the first thing they told us to do is go home and get a hobby. Weird, isn't it?
Interesting.
And we were just like so confused about that. Got home 24 hours later after getting back to the UK. Within 36 hours we were on another flight flying out to Singapore for like a tour out there for 2.5 months. We didn't even get the chance to like try anything really. It was in Japan. I like picked up a notepad and did some Japanese calligraphy stuff, but that only lasts so long. You were trying different things, and I think when we got back it was over the 6 months following that, like one of our guys that he picked up doing metal detecting. He got a metal detector for his birthday and just did stuff and
just went around the beach.
Well, just like he's around his plot of land. He's like you. He lives on like a horse farm and like just has like amazing like plots of land.
I need to get myself a metal detector.
Mate, you'd be amazed.
Yeah,
he's found some incredible stuff, and with that you learn the history and stuff around it. And the three of us are all like history nuts anyway.
I think my mum will be very angry like that because I really get into things. So have you seen the film Holes?
Yeah. Stanley Yelnats.
The whole farm will be like that after a day.
we got moles or something. I think and he did that, and then I think me and another guy we just decided to do some painting, like did some models with another bunch of friends, and we dedicated one day every single week for us two and our friends to meet up. My brother has got involved since. Sit around the table, paint together, play nostalgic albums of films in the background, and just socialise. And it's just like 4 or 5 guys that just open up with each other for a few hours every single week, and it's so powerful.
That is power. Before going to that counselling session and to where they said you need to do a hobby, how were you all feeling before that, prior to that though?
Stressed.
Like, so it was there, and that there
was just a constant kind of stress that why haven't we made it yet? And they were just like perplexed really, because I think they were, but you've done so much. You've got this 2.5 month Asia tour coming up. Like, who does that on their own without big label fundings and stuff? But we weren't realising our successes.
I'll tell you something, Alan Watts again, who we speak about in the kitchen. But my favourite video, and it's about 3 minutes. So my 2 favourite things in life are South Park and Alan Watts. So put them together. And South Park, like the creators, Trey Parker, Matt Stone, and they actually are really into Alan Watts. And they did an animation for one of his lectures and speeches, and it's a 2-minute one, and it's called Music is Life. And again, what you're describing there, so Alan's talking about like always we're chasing something, we're always on the move, looking forward, trying to get to this point. So at school it's to get these grades, and then when you get these grades we go into the bigger school trying to get these grades to go into uni. The reason we go to uni is so we get this job, and when we get this big job, we're looking at getting a quota that we can hit, and then you've got to get up this ladder at work, and then you've got to be the manager or get to the best top position. And it's such a poetic way of telling it, because when he got to this manager spot at the end, he's got this bag of money, he tips it upside down, it's empty, and he feels emptiness inside because he was always chasing this point. And he's just said he missed the whole dance along the way, the whole, like, it was a musical. You don't just play a piece of music with a crashing cymbal and that's it. It's supposed to be
shift and
a constant play.
It's about being present.
Yeah, constantly enjoying the journey, enjoying the process, and not just thinking, why aren't we here? Because for somebody on this side to look at you guys and be like, wow, they're the ones that are doing it, but hearing your perspective of, no, we didn't feel we made it, it's this idea that everybody's got, in particular the music scene, but of making it. We just forget that we're making it because we're creating it.
Yeah.
The moment you're doing, the reason you picked up the pen or you picked up the guitar or whatever, it was a feeling that it gave you. It was an emotion that it took you on, and you're creating it. But then we get a bit lost with the views and the likes and the shares and the gigs, and you can just completely get lost in that. So when you went to that counselling meeting, they're like, right, try something else, take that pressure off, and then when you go back to the gigs and the settings, you're going to be in on it, you're going to be really feeling that moment again. So yeah, again, really reflective on that, because I've had that recently in terms of the buses and putting on the business. Me and Chrissy have really been hammering it and trying our best, like scheduling posts, putting things everywhere. When you're doing that, I'll go in the bus and get ready. And even when we go for a walk, we think, oh, at least we've got a walking time. But all the way we're just talking about business and talking about what next. So it's supposed to get to something where you've got a passion and you've got to completely express yourself and give the energy somewhere else, and you can't be in business mode, is so important.
It is.
Yeah.
I think there's I've never really realised the power of having a hobby and having a circle of friends that share something like that with you. And it's like a counselling session in its own, and none of us say that. None of us really kind of go, oh, you know, we need to talk about this. It's not,
session.
but just having that group of people that you share an experience with is everyone's had that moment along the line. We just happen to do it when we're painting models. The models part is just the part that keeps us doing it, because it's that something to work towards. And it's like, I mean, I've never been to, you know, there's Alcohol Anonymous camps or anything like that, but I imagine, you know, when they do things to like build a table or do these craft things together or build a wall like you would in school when you get kicked out because you've been naughty. We've all done that, where some guy takes you out and says, we'll build a brick wall around the pond, and it's like, okay, neat. I don't have to do biology for a bit. We've all been like, I knew a guy that someone that's had to do that. But those things, like when you're building stuff together in a group of people, it's just like, I don't know, there's a power in that. I love it. But like, you know, it's like anything, you learn so much more from your failures than you do successes, and behind every success there's like way more failures as well. So I'm definitely not perfect, you know, and I'm not saying that anyone in my band is, but we've just had that commitment, I think, to try.
And that's another thing that people don't want to make nowadays, is failures. They don't want to make mistakes. Everyone's terrified to do it. I go into schools and do this, like put me back on. We put this like what do you call it, what do you call like a pre-session where you're doing like icebreakers, that sort of thing. So we do one where we close our eyes, and all the kids have to like get a piece of paper and a pen, and then they have to draw their face with their eyes closed. And again, I've done this in groups of like hundreds or quite a lot, and I'm walking round, and every child in that room, most are compliant, but then they've got quite a few that like they're constantly looking down and open their eyes. So it's really interesting. Then at the end I go, right, everyone open your eyes, and they all have a big laugh and they're like, yeah. And I say, like, be honest, who kept their eyes shut for the whole of that? And then about 4 put the hand up. So I say, right, to everybody that wanted to cheat or look, like, why did you want to do that? And then a couple of kids put the hand up, and one that was really conscious at this place, he said, I didn't want to make any mistakes, sir. I didn't want to do it wrong. That was his big fear. And I was like, right, this is really interesting. It keeps coming back. It's a common theme, especially in young people. They're just absolutely terrified of getting it wrong, where all the other kids that were just like, right, my nose over there, my mouth here, everything there. And that's what life needs to be like. Go in blind sometimes, make them mistakes, and then you can look back at it and go, oh, I can put in a bit of colour here, and you can start editing it back and learning from it. So I think we have to be a little bit more fearless, and especially nowadays, especially with the way the world's turning, we don't know what's next. You've got to go in with that, I'm going to mess up, I'm going to fail, I'm going to create all them like little glitches, but that's the beauty of it, that's the point, the dance along the way, isn't it?
all those like memorable stories in someone's life will come from all of those moments there as well, don't they? If you think like, oh, that time we did this and we were so underprepared, that's the story you take away from it. It's never the, oh, we booked a meal for this time, we got there at this time, and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, they are. Have you got one that springs to mind of like,
it's loads.
Lads, what have we done?
Loads, mate. I'm being on tour, it's mad. There's loads of moments like that.
Ended up at hostel or something where you're like, it's like the film. Or
there's one time we were driving from Hanover to Riga.
Yeah.
So this is like West Germany to Latvia, and if you look at it on a map, you think that's mental drive, and it's because we had a day off after the Hanover show, and the day after that we were meant to play in Leipzig in Germany, but that show got cancelled for whatever reason.
Yeah.
So we had this 36-hour drive to go from there to there, and we thought we may as well just go for it. Never stop, and like JB would drive for 3 hours. I'd sleep in the back on the better seats, and we'd rotate like that every 3 hours for the whole 36 hours, right?
Yeah.
I vividly remember after driving for about 21 hours or something mad, JB was asleep in the back. JC was in front of me because he always got the wingman navigator seat because he wasn't driving, so we'd always say, right, you could be nav man. If you wanted to sleep, you have to like sit up and and about 2 a.m, pitch black, started driving to this thing, you start seeing like Russian text on like road signs, and you start thinking, but obviously we're in Eastern Europe now, we must be like near or in the Baltics, we don't know where, we've gone through Poland, whatever. I got to this thing, there's like a big like tower, like when you approach those places like at the ferry terminal and you hand your passport over, it's like one of those things. But this thing, the window was up there, and we roll in, and then these guys like AK-47s come out, and you're just thinking, like, Jack, wake up, like, what's going on? And we're like, what, what's going on? And then you realise you've gone in the lorry bay rather than the car bay, and you have to like hand your passport out the window like that because it's not meant for like an LDV access, And this guy's like, where are you from? And we're like, UK, we're going to Latvia. He was like, why do you come to Russia? And we were like, what do you mean Russia?
Wow.
We've gone have we gone too far? Have we gone through Latvia, like we've gone to Russia? It turns out they keep us in a pen, like they were obviously really weird about it, thinking, what are you doing here? You're not meant to do it here. You haven't got visas for Russia.
Wow.
Turns out we accidentally drove to like Kaliningrad. Our sat nav took us like the direct route, and it was to go through Kaliningrad.
Right, okay.
But you've got to have like visas to go into.
So how far?
And I don't know if you know Kaliningrad.
No, man, no.
So you've got like Russia as a big continent, right? And then you've got Estonia, Latvia, Lithuania.
Yeah.
And then before Poland, you've got Kaliningrad, which is this province that's on the coast before them all.
Okay.
And there's only like it seems like a 60-mile stretch of land between Lithuania and Poland to like go through. But if you followed a sat nav, it would take you through Russia.
Well, they must have had this happen before, like...
They must have had a lot. A lot.
All the time. You get 3 lads going through there.
It was a scary experience, these like armed guards and stuff.
That's
with like
crazy.
Alsatians and stuff.
How did they treat you then in there? Was it...
there was no humour in it. No humour in it. But we
trying to banter with them. Come on, mate. This is a great story.
Quickly, like, got out of there and we had to drive around Kaliningrad, which took ages on these like old country roads through Poland and stuff. But it's like there's loads of moments like that in tour which you never prepare for. Like things on tours, just they're going to go wrong.
Yeah, yeah.
But those are the
travelling
stories
in
that you take
general,
home
right?
and you tell everyone. You never tell,
Yeah.
we played this amazing show last night in Austria.
Yeah,
Honestly, it was
everyone
amazing.
is in on us. They're just vibing.
People kind of don't care. They
Yeah,
want to know
yeah,
about
yeah.
what went wrong.
Yeah, the
I think
worst bits, the bad shows. So because there's so much humour towards it. There's not
Yeah.
much humour in like, oh, this went perfectly great.
Yeah.
It's like when that Russian guy came and he says, "What are you doing here?" It's like, oh, that's great, because you're alive and safe. I'm like, cool, but my head's going, oh, what happened next?
Yeah, we were. We were sat there for about 2 hours in a van, like outside some kind of checkpoint, and then it's weird, mate. But that's where the kind of beauty in life comes from as well.
I'll go with one from Australia when I went with my best mate travelling. We did a year there, and we needed money because we got there in Brisbane, and I think again I was labouring before in a little not long away, putting up the houses and things like that, working really hard every day, getting money. So I got $1,000 and a bit. I bought my tickets and then took $1,000 with me. I thought, I've got loads of money, I'm fine. I was in Brisbane for like 2 weeks and I was like on my last like 300 quid.
Yeah, worrying about it.
What have I done? What have I done? Panicking.
Yeah.
So anyway, me and my friend were like, right, I guess we're going to have to get a job much sooner than we thought, because I thought I'd took money out to live on. So we looked online, and have you heard of, it's called woofing, like it's just working abroad. It's on like all different sites. There's Gumtree do it, but woofing. So I went on there and we found this little place, a truck stop in the outback, and I thought, yeah, why not? Like we're two strong lads, we'll be right. So we got there, we flew out, and I just remembered like it was really outback, and we thought we were waiting for I think the boss to come and collect us. So we went into the bar just to sit down, and there was, have you seen The Hills of Eyes? Yeah, mate, I'm not joking. It was the archetypal Hills of Eyes film set, like crew. It was just scariest bloke, the guy with an eye patch and a guy like his jaw down here, like really scary, like figure. And they came and sat and said, "What are you doing out here?" And I was like, "I don't know, I'm sorry, take my money." But anyway, we got outside and we were like, right, the guy's not come to pick us up, what we're going to do. So we just started walking, and I remember it got darker and darker and darker, and there was only two ways to go. It was left or right, out this pub, left, right, and we just started walking the wrong way. We were
mate.
Let's pick right.
You went walkabout, mate.
It makes sense, mate. So as it got darker and there was no houses or anything, I remember, and I promise this is true, we started hearing this like or something like that, and I never forgot. And I looked at Jagger, he looked at me, we got our backpacks and everything on, and I literally said, "This is probably it, innit? This is game over. There's no chance of getting out of this." So we just literally, he's really fast sprinter. I remember at school he did it in 11 seconds, 100 metres.
So they get to you first, don't they?
So he just turned around and started pelting it, and I was like, oh no. So I'm like little chubby Mikey, pegging it after Jagger, come on, please don't leave me. But we went back in that pub, give them another call because they didn't pick up, and suddenly I think they come and got us after a few hours. But that even a tiny little half an hour walk into nothingness, I thought, game over, lad.
Yeah.
I love that feeling though. I miss it now, because when you're in the UK, and again I enjoy the business and stuff like that, but I'm never feeling the feeling of unknown anymore. Do you know, oh, what's next? Literally, what are we gonna do? I love it. It was at school when you throw something at the hard lads and run away.
Yeah, I think everyone misses that spontaneity.
Yes.
Every day, and it's all levels of life, whether it's traveling like that or relationships or work. You know, but I think it's really special. Yeah.
Do you get to see much of the places you go to then when you are performing, or is it all get to the venue, perform,
set up, play, next one?
Yeah.
It is very much like the latter, really. But we have a thing in Eyre Llew where I'm a huge fan of castles, and he's a big history buff, and JC he's well into his like war games and stuff like that. And
This is like the perfect team.
Yeah, it's the broaden. So we have a thing in Eyre Llew where whatever tour we're going on, we have to try and see a castle en route, and it could be anywhere amongst the tour. And
nice.
we've ticked off some incredible ones, like even just local ones in the UK, like Conway Castle in North Wales, which is a stunning castle, by the way. Wicked day out. Yeah, imagine. We saw a castle in Japan, but that's like one of our things where we have to make time to do that, because if you're traveling, you got home at the end of it and all you saw was the inside of some horrible club that's just dark and dingy, and maybe you saw like where you parked in some road in Hanover, and you had to pick up that speeding ticket, the parking ticket fine off the window, and that was your experience of leaving there. You're going to walk away thinking, man, that's a shame, if this country didn't do it for me. And there's so much more to that, and we have had those experiences, but I think it was the repetition of that. I was thinking, we're going here, why don't we try and see this castle when we're doing it? And everyone's like, oh great, and there's some
cool
wicked castles, man. Like, it's a good day out, you get to do a walk, learn something.
Educate me a little bit on the history of castles then, because in my head I thought it was just a European thing, really, like kings and queens. Like, if there's one in Japan, what is it? Is it like an emperor's castle? Like, why is...
Yeah, well, castles in Japan weren't used as fortifications so much. They're more of a palace symbol,
right?
Like a symbol of wealth, and it's where like the head of all the samurai would live, like the emperors and stuff like that. And they're beautiful, like cherry blossom trees and perfect maintained gardens. And
so there are castles all over in every place you go to.
Yeah, the first one in Japan we went to was Wakayama Castle, and that was just if you scroll down our Instagram feed, there's things of us on day outs about castles, but I don't know, it's just it's a special thing. I think when you go to a castle, you just think, wow, you don't see buildings like that very often, especially the Japanese ones. Like,
the amount of work gone into it.
They're beautiful. Yeah, so beautiful. But like in Europe, there's incredible ones as well. Like Slovakia have some amazing castles. We went to an awesome one called Trakai Castle in Lithuania. That was amazing.
Are you allowed to sort of walk around them as well? Because I don't think I've done much castle hunting in honesty. So you might have just got me into my new hobby now.
Yeah, man. Not only is the history there. Usually in castles, there like some kind of arts funding goes on there. So there's like museums and stuff like that you can see.
Wow.
Obviously, there's walking. If you like walking anyway, you may as well do it in the grounds of like a castle gardens or whatever. I don't know, I'm big into it. I grew up loving things like Robin Hood, and like medieval knights and princesses and stuff like that. And
are you Nottingham born and bred?
Yeah,
like, is that?
Yeah, I'm half Welsh. My mum's Welsh.
Okay.
So I have that side of it with me, but and I've spent loads of childhood holidays there. And Wales has some insane castles, like really cool ones. But Nottingham born and bred. I'm proud to be from Nottingham. It's cool. It's a good place.
It's an amazing place.
It is a good place,
particularly for the music scene. Like how vibrant it is, and everybody just wants everyone to do well. I feel.
Yeah, it's underrated. I wouldn't say it's an underdog, but I would definitely say it's like I've toured a lot around different cities. I think we counted it up like in January. I think we've done like 187 shows, and I think we've done like 90 something cities around the world now. And Nottingham is still up there for me. I've been to some amazing places. I love them, but in places I'd like to live, like Nottingham does have something close. I'm proud to be from Nottingham.
Yeah. Again, it was always the people for me. Like I've started music really late on. I was 22, 23.
Yeah.
Never touched a pen because I told dyslexic, like stay away from the writing side of things. So I was like, right, not bother with that. Hated poetry. Never picked up an instrument at all. And again, when I was in South Africa, and tell this story a bit and I'll rush through it, but I got a phone call from my dad, and he sort of told me my friend had been killed in a knife crime incident. Lots of terrible things happened, like back home, Ripley, you don't want to come back here, mate. And instead of me like, right, I'm going to live away from there for all my life, I was sat down for the day. I took the day off. I was working a primate sanctuary, and I just started writing. And it was the most cathartic, beautiful experience that I'd had in my life. I was like, something's happening to me now. And it was all just splashing out, and I wouldn't stop. So I was given music then. I was giving poetry, I was giving writing. I was like, this is so powerful. Came home and I was like Dora the Explorer with a pen. I was just running around writing everything down. It was incredible. But I was so nervous to get on a stage, so nervous to perform something, because I'd never ever done it at all before, ever. And I went into Nottingham, went to the Maze, God bless the Maze.
Yeah, mate.
And
spent a lot of time there.
I walked in, and just straight away, it was the open mic. I'd seen it on there. Sort of asked them if I could come beforehand. They're like, yeah, sure, come up, man. It'd be great. Got in, and they were just so loving, so kind, compassionate. Go on, man, do your thing. And I performed, and I remember they were just like, wow, man, that was amazing. And I felt this
encouraged
is
about it. Yeah.
What I want to do. This is it. This is who I want to be. And ever since then, it was just back to Nottingham every other day. I was like in, out, in, out. I remember the gig, I met Motormouth, do you know?
Oh, Alex, yeah.
Alex, oh, what a guy. And
yeah, it's great.
he's at the Jam Cafe, and his bike had broken down outside. And I walked up and I was like, hey man, I'm actually going to do something here tonight. I'll get your bike, we'll put it in the back of my car, I'll drive you home after. So I took it, went in, and then he was one of the like featured artists, and I didn't know. And when he came on, I was like, wow, his bike's in my car. So excited. And I got on, and he saw me perform my thing, and we both pointed at each other, and it was like that moment, it just like the stars kept aligning for me. So I've got a huge place in my heart for Nottingham. There's something special about it.
I think the music industry within Nottingham, the music scene is a better word for it actually, is just so kind of diverse, but it's also really kind of well reciprocated, and supportive. Just like there's other like cities around the UK. Most cities around the UK don't have that kind of. They have a scene, and if you don't fit within that scene, then people try and find a different place to play. But Nottingham, it's very rare that any two bands or artists are the same. If you look at the like spectrum of artists, I'm not saying that other cities don't have that, but other cities definitely have like a kind of either a class that you should only kind of be appreciated at until you reach that kind of level, or they kind of have this kind of music scene, whether it was like Brit rock or pop rock or whatever it is.
Vibes.
It's really interesting. Whereas I don't know, Nottingham just seems to have this kind of diversity that everyone kind of prefers, rightly or wrongly. I don't know.
I likes it though.
Me too.
What about for the journey for you as well then, like musical and like where you've got to? When did that start to unfold? Were you like really young when you picked up instruments and guitar, or?
Yeah, I the way I got into guitar was I heard there was a girl in my school, and her phone went off in English class. Teacher did the classic confiscate the phone, turn it off kind of thing. But her ringtone went off, and it was I didn't know what this tune was. I thought, that sounds really cool, really like it. You know when you first get into music, and there's that albums you first listen to, and you kind of, it's expanding your mind a bit, and you think, you just really notice everything. Got home and I was like, thinking about it all day. My dad came, I couldn't wait for my dad to get home from work. I was like, Dad, what's this song? It goes, ding 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 ding. He said, it sounds like Sweet Home Alabama. I mean, I'm not sure because you're a bit rusty on the old pipes, but it's probably. I googled it. I was amazed.
Wait, okay.
My mate Pete got me the Lynyrd Skynyrd Greatest Hits CD for like £3 or something as a birthday present. We ordered like a Secret Santa. This is when I'm like 14, and I was like, I want to play guitar. Like, I just want to try and play that. That's where I want to be. That's what I want to do right now.
Just to play that sound.
Ask my mum and dad. Ask my mum and dad. They were like, no, can't get guitar. Not electric anyway, but you can try. Yeah, your mum's old classical acoustic. So I played that to death. Like,
really? For
about a month, and I was like saving up all my paper round money. You know, it's like £9 a week.
Yeah.
Slave labour in it, paper round. Yeah, Monday to Saturday, it's £9 a week or whatever. And saved up all that, and then went and bought myself a start kit. It was. And I've still got it. It's like a little, the amplifier. You get the free cable, and you got that pink sunburst Stratocaster copy. Yeah. And I played that for about 2 months, and sat next to this girl I was friends with, and her boyfriend played in a band. Had one of those cool boyfriends that you think,
Yeah.
I'm not that guy.
Why can't I be that guy?
She found out that I was like learning and playing guitar. She was like, "Oh, well, my boyfriend's band like needs a new guitarist if you want to audition." I was like, "What? No, I'm not at that. I've only been playing guitar like 2.5 months, 3 months." And she was like, "No, you should. I'll speak to Rob. You know, blah blah blah." Next day, Rob comes up to me in school. You know what it's like when you're a kid, like everything's just like so much like, oh my god, like can't contain it. And he goes, "Hey, I heard you're pretty good on guitar." I was like, "Oh well, I don't know about that." And he was like, "Well, me and the band we're doing auditions tonight in the music block."
No way. So cool.
He said, "So after school, do you want to like try out for the band?" I was like, "Oh, okay." Like nervously accepted it. And the school finished. I ran home, like picked up my guitar, like got everything in. It's adorable and cringe when I think about like this like kind of thing. I ran back to the music block, like I'm knackered, like sweating, just on PE and whatever. Did the thing, did the audition. These guys were all like a level above me in the kind of coolness rating of like, do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
there is those kind of social
there were
like
ranks at school.
Yeah,
definitely.
And they were like, "That's great. I think what we'll do is we'll try a rehearsal tomorrow night in Squire's garage after school. We used to rehearse in his garage."
Interesting.
And I was like, "Oh yeah, okay, that sounds great. Fine. Like, yeah, okay, thanks guys. Blah blah." And they were cool. And then they let someone else come in for the tryouts.
Oh,
I met up with in their like school garage, like this at the end of the school drive was where Squire's house was, one of the drummer, and his garage, and we did a rehearsal in there, and they were like, "Yeah, that was great." And prior to that, they said, "Learn these 3 songs for tomorrow night," and I did, and we did that. And they were like, "Okay, cool. Well, let's pack down real quick, get all the stuff in." They had 2 wheelbarrows.
Right. Okay,
which was the mode of transport for
yeah.
my first band. But I'm at a level now where we've got our own van. The goalpost shift.
It means
nothing.
That's all you needed.
But back in the day, we had 2 wheelbarrows, and that's where we went everywhere.
Cool.
And we banged the PA and the amps and all the drum kit, and we used to do like multiple trips with these 2 bloody wheelbarrows.
Yeah.
Went down to the place called the Black Lion pub. Okay. I was like, "What are we doing?" They were like, "Oh, we got a gig tonight." They were like, "Yeah, we got a gig tonight. This is my second day. Like I've been playing guitar for like 3 months or whatever." They were like, "Yeah." I thought, "Do you not know?" And I was like, no. They were like, "Hey, you'll be fine, mate. Sorry, you've got the songs. You don't have to change anything.
Yeah.
We just rehearsed it. You did it great. We'll just do it." I was like, I just got thrown into the deep end.
Wow.
I wasn't ready for it. No one told me it was happening.
Yeah.
Did the gig. It was the most exhilarating feeling, and it went amazing. It was one of those gigs as well where nothing special, like really. Played in the top of a pub.
Yeah.
It was like, it could have been the Duck and Arsehole in Herefordshire. It doesn't mean anything to anybody. Do you know what I mean? But we did it. To me, and that was like a shift. I was like, I love this. This is amazing. Everyone's done the first gig, and I'd hated it, but they got addicted to it.
Yeah.
Went home, carried on that band. We did all sorts of gigs, and it was amazing. And then it was that process of like, I don't know what to do in my life. Well, my mate's going to university. We're going through sixth form. I was doing AS levels, and I wasn't having a good time, to be honest. I found it really difficult. The only thing I was really kind of connecting with is my friendship group and doing what we did and playing out and stuff, but the music was the only thing that I enjoyed, and I was worried and scared that I'd have to lose that once I left school. My dad was like, "Well, what do you enjoy? Like, what do you want to do?" And I was like, "I don't know what I want to do." He said, "But what do you enjoy doing?" I was like, "Well, I enjoy playing in the band." He was like, "We'll go and do that then." I was like, "Well, what do you mean you can do that?" He said, "Well, go to college. If you don't know how to do it, go to college and learn about how to do it." All right, yeah. And I applied to music college. I went, and it was the first time in my life I ever got like straight A's. And I think I'm very much one of those people that I only do really well in things when I enjoy them.
I think that's
And
most people,
college was
though,
like that.
like,
Yeah.
realistically.
And Jack Clark, who's in Eyre Llew now, I met him at college. We've been best friends ever since. It's been like 12, 13 years or something. Long time. And we went to uni together and like played in a band together there and did our first UK tour together, and it just grew from that. And I don't know what I would do. It's got to the point where I've put so much into it now that unless I like stepped out of it and started at the bottom again or something, that's okay. Maybe I will do that with something one day, but I don't know what I would do otherwise, other than work in the music industry now, because it's just so much of my life
Genuinely
invested.
giving like some goosebumps there, like talking of that story though.
Yeah.
It's a thing I really wish I'd have gone down the line of though early on, because the football thing and being with the lads for a bit, we had good friendships, but
Yeah.
there's always been like a bit of a fakery there, or something just wasn't feeling right or real for me in that.
Yeah.
But when I met the music scene and the music heads, when you create something like music together, there's something else being made in that moment. And the people I reflect to at school now that did get on early on and were in bands and were going to gigs together and just having that feeling, I think it could happen in my life at one stage where I'll feel it. But when you're on a gig and you know it's going right, and them good gigs we were talking about, that to create that for people must just be like, lads, like, look what we're doing together. I've been on stages and spoke, and I've felt it on a micro level to perform a poem and people come up after and say thank you for that. I needed that in that moment. Them words were really powerful, poetic and needed. But bloody hell, I've been to gigs like Fat Freddy's Drop or something. They're just creating a vibe. Everyone's in. I'm really envious of that moment, seeing that created. So, yeah, catching that early on would be very beneficial for people.
Yeah, there's been like loads of moments in everyone's life where they've seen that band that have just like changed something.
Yeah,
Yeah, really cool.
You must get that feedback from people though, saying you've done that for me.
That is it's something that I'm still not. I personally find it like I don't accept compliments very well. But what you find yourself, especially at some of my shows, I think it's because you add that reverbiness in. You don't sing as much, and you let the music do the talking a little bit. And if you add loads of reverb to your voice, people don't know what you're saying, so they connect to it on an emotional level.
Yeah.
More so than on a lyrical one.
Yeah.
And that's not to say that I don't value lyrics. You know, I take it really seriously, and I'm really conscious about opening up like that. But people come and speak to you afterwards, and they'll say things like, "That was amazing." You know, my son has been going through this, and he's like, you know, he passed away last year, and you get these messages from people that you would never ever hear those messages from people on an immediate kind of note like that if you try to speak to somebody in a social setting.
Yeah.
But for some reason, when you play a show and people come up to you afterwards, and it's like this powerful moment where they feel like they needed to tell you that.
Yeah.
And I think my sister works in counselling and psychotherapy. She did like that at university and stuff, and I was training up with her kids. But I think stuff like that is very kind of important for some musicians to read up on and learn about, and just being kind of sensitive to how people are feeling, because sometimes these people are telling you things and it's so sensitive, and I still don't know how to process that. But I want to say the right thing, and
Just flip me back on. Sorry.
yeah, it's one of those like really amazing moments that music brings that I've never experienced with anything else.
Can really reflect that, and it is hard as an artist to get a compliment, isn't it?
It is,
like,
yeah.
oh, you've just try like hit me with something there, like let's see what I can do. And I've got better at sort of like realizing what they're saying and really appreciating that moment that they've come out there, because they didn't need to. They could have felt that, gone away, spoke about that, but to directly go up to you and be like, you don't know what you've just done for me there. You don't know how powerful and how needed that was. It's such a connected moment. It's really rewarding. It makes me want to do it more and more and more when I get that moment. Like, I've had guys come up to, big hunky strong guys, like macho men, and they come and they're like, mate, I hate poetry, but bloody love what you just done. Like,
How amazing is that?
It's such a nice, and they'll go like, I had this breakup about a week or 2 weeks ago, and in that moment you've just spoke to me for 2 minutes solid, and it's power. And what you said there, like with the reverb, with the sound you're creating, they don't necessarily go in on the lyricism level, but just the energy, the emotion, whatever road you're taking them down, that you're walking together, and it's just so beautiful. I've felt that in your. I've been listening to you when I get people come on the podcast. I'm like doing my research, so I've been watching the film. You've got some. We'll talk about that as well. You've got some amazing films made, like from a filmmaker's perspective. I like the ones where they're Eyre Llew. It's a guy and he's on a travel. He's on journeys.
Yeah, that was our music videos for our first album.
So cool.
Yeah, you're talking about Havoc and Otello, the music videos.
Yeah. And both. There's two. There's one where he's in the desert, area, and then one where it's in like the snow.
The first one is the snow.
Right, the first.
We planned for that to be like for our whole album. We wanted to shoot a music video,
right?
Like a coherent season, effectively,
yes,
a TV season about a guy's narrative. But funding kind of like got in the way of that.
Right, okay.
So we did two, but both those music videos all started with me. I knew the actor friends. He works. He's an actor. He's what his creative outlet is.
Right. Okay.
But on the side from that, under that as well, he also works within Rock City for the same company I do, and so we talked to each other a lot. He became a nice close friend that year, and he knew a director friend. Said,
right.
I opened up this idea. I want to do this for this album.
Yeah.
And he was like, well, I've got this director who's the loveliest guy ever.
Huh.
He's up for a challenge, and he's just enough amount of crazy to probably accept it.
Yeah.
Like, introduce me to Raj. I love Raj already.
Wow.
Let's go.
Yeah.
He spoke to him in the pub, and he was like, I've got this wicked camera guy called Louis. If we're going to do this, we're going to do it right. He's got some amazing gear, but aside from that, he's just an awesome guy, and he knows what he's talking about. I said, brilliant, bring him in. And it grew, and then Louis came along and says, I love this idea. It sounds what you need is like a script writer to kind of write the narrative and bring all these ideas in and really kind of level it out, really. And I was like, I mean, okay, this is like becoming a project bigger than me.
Wow.
This and my immediate creative thing. I'm just the music here, and somewhat of a producer.
The guy that picked up his mum's classical to then you've got a director, a filmmaker, you've got a whole big project going on. It's just
it was amazing, man.
What a beautiful leap.
This team of like 5 of us. Basically, and then the other guys in the band like had their input, and then we got some like set designers in and did all sorts of stuff. But they said, "What do you want?" I said, "Well, it needs to be cinematic. Think like the Revenant, or something like that. But let's make it our own thing, but modern day." And, and they were like, "Okay, amazing. Well, to do that, where could we go? Like Wales, Scotland, or blah blah." And then Raj went away. He said, "Look, it's going to cost us this much to go to Scotland, or we could just do like a £11 flight to Norway." I was like, here's the money, mate. Do it.
Yeah.
Book your flights. He's like, okay, well, Louis knows a guy in north of Norway who owns a cabin, so we could go there and like stay with them.
Yeah.
Chip them a bit of money, and then do some stuff on the lake. And mate, over 5 days, they flew out to Norway, hired a car, drove to the north of Norway, shot all of that video in it was -22. AJ was freezing, like lying in the snow, did all sorts. Then went back and flew from Norway to Gran Canaria and did another video over day 4 or 5 in the desert there. Same costumes and stuff, carried on the narrative. Flew back home, edited it over a month, and we shot like some UK scenes. Like there's I won't give it away too much, but there's some scene that was shot in the UK. You'll see it. We shot it as well in the Pelican Club in Nottingham, the jazz club.
Yeah, wicked.
Yeah, there's a bit there. Using a UK actress called Molly, she got involved, and mate, that when I saw the first edit of that, I cried.
Oh, mate.
The snow one, I first saw that, I was like, wow, that's really powerful. Like, and I think it was partly feeling proud of it, and I couldn't. We got that in February, and we didn't release it until I think it was like August, September, October, sometime around there. But yeah, they did so much for us because, and no one would believe how little that cost. That was purely like a collaborative project because we were all passionate about doing the art.
The project.
It wasn't like, right, we've got a lot of money, let's go and do some really extravagant. It wasn't that at all. It was literally, let's book a £4 flight to
this
here.
idea came about.
Let's all chip in on £50 tank of fuel, go and do this, ask somewhere to crash for the weekend, like eat some pot noodles at night, really cheap, low budget stuff. But what came out of it was something really beautiful.
And that's what I was alluding to and saying, like, most songs for me was the Mike Skinner stuff with like really heavy lyricism based, like listening for metaphor, listening for like great storytelling. But putting that song on today, or like I've listened to it again today, but listening to all your music, and I've never really been taken away by music like that. It really is like just a
really
beautiful sound. It's just something created. And for somebody that's always been into rap and having to listen for lyrics, I was like, this is doing something to me. And I started getting a bit teary-eyed, and I was watching the video and watching the journey unfold, and I was like, mate, like, music, this is another level, another journey of music for me. And I'm going to start looking, you're going to have to give me some artists like you guys to listen down the line of, but
Gladly, mate,
it's great. It's such a powerful thing that you do for people. And
thank you.
I was then, like your friend was saying about the audio, you learn more from that. I was going back to like childhood memories. I was thinking about girlfriends I've been with. Then it go really sound and reflective, and I'm like, oh, me and Jagger on the beach in Australia. I swear on my life, this was happening to me in one song. So you can take people on that, and yeah, it's going to make me really reflect. To now I've started playing with music and lyrics, so doing like the Mike Skinner vibe stuff, but I'm going to be more conscious of the beats I'm doing it to and what journey I want people to go on in the beat making as well, because I've never felt I could consciously give feedback to music. I've done something recent with Johnny Ollie at Mount Street Studio. This is my most proud track that I've ever
talented
done. Love the guy, and it was a collaborative effort, and he's listened to it, he's like, this is big, this is huge. But again, for me, I'm not actually listening to my lyrics in it a lot of the time. I'm listening in, I'm like, this sound, there's something that Johnny's done, Charlie Kirby from Mount Streets and that. They've created something in the background that gives it everything it needs. So
there's a thing when we started Eyre Llew, right? There's everything we ever wrote, we tried to say, right, it doesn't matter how this sounds, but it just needs to sound beautiful. And that all came from like a thing where I think we all like watched something or heard, I can't really remember where it came from, but people remember not what you say, but how that you make them feel. And music is exactly that. You know, you could write the most, like, I don't know, like aggressive or beautiful or you know, really incisive lyrics ever, but when they're performed in the right way as well, that's the magic.
Yeah.
You know?
Have you got then some lyrics that you can think of that you wished people heard that though? Do you know, because like
loads,
a big piece of philosophy that you're like giving people, and you're like, they're not going to hear this, but it's so powerful.
Yeah, there's lyrics to some of the songs like The Deep, Silo is another one that we recorded that in Korea. That was strong for me at the time. There's a song called Vor Freud, which I feel like the song doesn't represent how much I feel about the lyrics and stuff in that one. Yeah, there's loads of little, obviously, lines and stuff in them, but
I even have it from artists I really like. I think Chance the Rapper has got a song, and he does it really fast in this track, and I'm like, I have to listen to it like 15, 20 times, but then I'll go on Genius app and start looking at what they've said, and then I'm like, that is a genius lyric, but I'd missed it so many times. I'm like, how many people are not hearing this genius that's been told, like this beautiful, like spiritual awakened moment? And I'm like, but it's in just one moment of the song and it's gone. So yeah, I was thinking, to when I listen to you guys, I'm going to really try and hear that lyrics that you saying as well, because I'm like, oh, the music, the sound, but you could be saying anything to me at times. Have you seen The Simpsons, where it's like they're trying to get people in the Navy? Have you not seen that one? The Bart becomes the band, and it's like in sync. It's such a funny episode, but they're saying Ivan Net Niaj, and backwards that's join the Navy. And so I always think that with your songs, I'm like, I can't quite hear the lyrics. I wonder if he's like indoctrinating me into like a cult. It's so funny.
It could be. You know, you'll play it backwards. I mean, that's actually something you should try if you ever want to like hack the Eyre Llew way. So reverse the songs, they sound amazing.
Seriously,
I vividly remember back in like, I think it was 2015, 2016. We reversed our songs by accident in Pro Tools. And I think it was just one of those, like, you know, the shortcuts on a keyboard, and we were waiting for it to save when just talking and stuff. And then listening back, I was like, oh, what's this? Wait, whoa, what? This is one weird. Oh, it's been reversed. And then as someone's about to change it, you go, wait, hang on, leave it.
Wow.
This sounds amazing.
Yes,
Reverse our songs like The Deep, or like some of these, like, they sound insane. It's like EDM kind of like festival, like going crazy, you know,
wow,
get the pyro out. It was wicked. Cool little thing that not many people know about.
Oh, buddy, I'm going to have to get onto that. A very similar thing happened to me the other day with film. I just put loads of stuff in, and then did some like the wrong keyboard moves. It was for the local healers film I've done, and it made them all in the weird colour, and I was just like, thank you God. Like, this is great. And like the colour starts changing throughout. It was like really like bouncy. I'd just done something, I don't know how to do it again though. That's the problem. It's not as easy as just a little reverse thing. It was like do you know keyframing in film?
I don't know.
You've got like the films there, like that's how long the clip is, but inside that film clip you could have things moving within it and stuff, and that's by keyframing. So the colour was keyframed, so the image of the colour was always changing and bouncing. I was like, I need to learn that.
Yeah, that's wicked.
Have you ever picked up a camera and tried doing your own little films and stuff?
No, not really. That's something that, you know, there's always been, I could try this, but just never have. I don't know.
So what, because music's the one for me. I'm just starting to get into, got a new MIDI keyboard, and I've now got Logic, so I'm ready to...
I'm the same, mate. I've never been the producer or anything in the band. Like, I've just been the person that writes songs and turns up and plays them. And I've loved it for that, and I've took some of the business side of it on the side. But the other two they're definitely the engineers and the guys that produce it and make it a finished project.
Yeah,
but
sure.
like you, in lockdown, I bought the studio bundle, studio bundle, and
there you
little
go.
Focusrite this and headphones, and I've been like learning that, and I did that at college, but I've not done it since, and it was
so you
it's been
putting
good.
like YouTube tutorials on and then just sort of imitating from that, or
Kind of. I'm just fluking it. Same way I
Really?
learned
Yeah.
Photoshop. You just kind of like just play around enough.
it's so
until you learn.
enjoyable, isn't it?
It
when
is, yeah.
You've got this in your head, you know what you want to hear, you know what you want to look at, but then to find them ways, you're just like, no.
Yeah.
There's so many mistakes in that. I just got to be tenacious, I suppose.
Yeah, perseverance. It's like perseverance, persistence, bliss.
But it is worth it when it's something you care about and something that matters to you.
Yeah.
Like that music that you were talking about earlier. If the teachers at your school, when you didn't do very well and you couldn't get A's, but they would have made you do, should have just got you doing songs about maths, and you probably would have been there.
Yeah.
Martin, he's like my hero. He promotes you guys and I promote him.
I'll start promoting you, mate. Don't you worry.
Pushing each other up. But he has this beautiful film out called The Only Fresh Air Is Outside in the Yard.
Okay.
And it's about this kid that is going unnoticed at school, just struggling, quiet, doesn't really say much, not really misbehaving, but also not engaged. And one day this Martin, who's the key guy in the film, finds out he's in a paper and he's just won a fishing competition.
Oh, wow.
So then the head teacher goes and finds this out, and then in art they're getting him drawing fish, and then in geography they're finding the fishing start, and then all the different like elements of school were all coming together and finding his passion. How can they feed it into his education?
Yeah.
And that's what I'm saying there with you and the music. I was never fed any passion at school. I was never shown I was good at anything, so I just hated everything. But the moment I actually found I could write, and it was a passion because I was telling my story, if school could have picked that up, it would have been good to flourish me on it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's beautiful, mate.
He's a good guy, isn't he, Martin?
Yeah. He's wicked.
You're doing a project with Laurie, so could you jump in and tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, I just
secret?
he asked me to come aboard and just play some guitar and some of his stuff last year. I've been really enjoying it.
Yeah.
It's nice as well for me on a really kind of like a selfish level, I suppose, where I'm able to turn up, just write creatively without the added pressures of this is me at the front, this is me singing, and there's a difference when you're the front man of something, and there's a difference when you're the guitarist of something, and I've been really appreciating that, of just because it is purely just a creative outlet that I've been enjoying with friends. I've been able to turn up, add my input. Is it good? Yes or no? Doesn't really matter.
Listening to you on that then, like, have you ever let your ego run away with you? Because like talking to you and knowing you, like, you seem so humble, just on a like proper level. Have you ever noticed yourself like let your ego run away, or I think you need an ego. You need to get on a stage and believe in yourself.
Me and the early boys, I think we used ego as a way of like defense in the beginning. Like we would never do a show for free. I mean, we did the odd charity show and stuff, but just as a general rule, we said we just can't do shows for free.
Yeah.
Because we want to know people that we have some worth.
Yeah.
And that made us do less shows because people weren't willing to pay. And that's kind of awful as well at the same time. But it makes you realise who does and doesn't care about it.
Yeah.
And who isn't worth working with.
Yeah, yeah.
But from that, what we saw was our first show sold out. And every show we've ever done that we've headlined in our hometown has sold out.
Yeah.
Because we do less. And less is more. But I think if we didn't, you know, in some ways when I look back, and at the time I hated having to turn people down.
Yeah.
I was very much the person in the band. I was like, let's do this. I'm the excited one in the band, right? And then one of the guys, he's probably a bit more of the business orientated, pessimistic one. Like it's not going to work. I mean, we'll try and find a solution, but it's not going to work. And I'd be like, well, no, we can do it. I'm like the motivator guy, like come up with the somewhat crazy idea, and the other two would tell me if it can't do it.
Perfect.
And then we've got the other third guy, one of the other Jacks, and he's so logical minded, and like he's really good at coming up with their strategies and just processes and making it happen in terms of well, this is how we should do it. It makes logical sense to do it like
binding
this.
In the recipe.
Yeah. So we've got one that was like bring me back down to earth.
Yeah.
Who is wicked with business stuff, and he said, well, this is how you should do it, and if you're going to do it, you need to do it properly, like blah blah blah. And then they got the other guy who said, well, the solution would be this if you come around with this. So it took me a while to discover that what we had wasn't like I never saw it as a negative, but I found it frustrating in the beginning, where I'd come up with an idea and I would love the excitement of finding this, and then it felt like the ego getting in the way, where it was like, no, we can't do it because, you know, it's not enough money or whatever.
From what you're saying, it doesn't sound too much like ego, though. That sounds very like...
But no, but I felt like it looked like an ego from a third party. So if someone comes to you and says, can you do this? I'm saying, no, you can't, you know, not for that. But it looks like that.
I see what you're saying.
But it just made us realise what our value and worth was. And I would actually strongly, like, doing all these open mics and stuff like that is brilliant to honing your craft. But there comes a time when people need to realise their worth.
Value.
Yeah.
I mean, it is one of the strange jobs, though, isn't it? Like a performer, creative.
Yeah.
The one area where people would ask for free off you all the time and say, can you do this for me? Can you do this? It's like, well, if I was a painter or a decorator or an electrician or a plumber, like, would you really ask me to come in and just fix it up and for a free drink or something? It doesn't make sense.
I felt like that at the start of lockdown, when, you know, for years my band have been doing charity gigs all over the place, and it's a brilliant and remarkable thing to do, to raise money for charity. I don't hate it at all, obviously, but with that there comes like, sometimes people take the piss. Yeah, it's true. There's not a nice way of saying it, and you want to help them out, but if you helped out everyone, then you would never do anything for yourself, and it doesn't help anyone in the long run either. And when lockdown happened, and so many musicians all around all the place just like went out of work, lost hundreds of gigs and thousands of pounds of income, where was the charity gig for all the musicians that have been putting out their time and free costings and stuff for all these things before? It's weird, isn't it?
Yeah.
It doesn't come back.
And if you don't value yourself and you don't put a price on, the other thing is people don't want to go for that. Like, I've, with my filmmaking, first of all, doing it for friends, put like 50 quid. I'm like, yeah, I'll do it for 50 quid. And then when you get to like a corporate job or a corporate level, or they want you to do something, you put like a price that's a non-price. I've had messages where they're like, we're not comfortable paying that because we don't think you're going to do a good job, really. We don't think you're going to put your heart into it. So I've had good friends and good businesses tell me, like, you've got to bump your prices up like triple, double, quadruple if you want to actually get good work, because it doesn't look like you're taking yourself seriously then. It doesn't look like you care about it enough.
Yeah, self-confidence and stuff like that.
Yeah. I remember from the first school I worked at, I had to put in an invoice and I had to ask around everybody. And the figure I had to put in, I was like, no way, I can't do that. And then I had a pep talk from a few people, and they were like, you've got to. Like, that's the going rate, that's the going price for keynote speakers, for going into education. Value yourself. You've don't know what you could have done for them students on that day. They might have like picked up poetry for the rest of their life, or they might have found a skill, or even just seeing somebody with a passion.
Yeah.
They might have gone, I want to be passionate. I don't know what about, but I like the energy he had and the passion that he's shown. So
that's wicked, man.
Having them talks, I was like, yeah, do you know what? Double it.
Why not? It's easy money. Yeah, it's good money. It's valuable. I think I've been doing like some guest lectures and stuff with some universities and stuff recently, and it's been great. The first one, just confetti and stuff like that.
Amazing.
With, I got invited in. They said, Sam, we want to do a workshop for these students, right? They got Alex Motormouth in.
Yeah.
They got Trekker, if you know him.
I love Trey, good friend. Yeah.
And they asked me, and they said, what we're doing is we're getting some like musicians in, and we just want to ask them how they incorporate technology with live music. And I said, oh well, I don't really use technology per se. I mean, I've got loads of guitar pedals and I use my pedal board, but I don't really. No, that's perfect.
Yeah.
We've got a guy doing Ableton. We've got Alex doing loops and loop pedals and all that kind of stuff. You come in and talk about guitar pedals. And I was like, I mean, why aren't you going to pay me for this? Because I do that at the pub. You know, I do it for free. And they're like, no, honestly, we want you to come in and do it. So I brought my pedal board in. Had like a violin bow on my guitar, going through some reverbs and doing all these haunty ghost noises, and students were just like, I didn't know you could do that on guitar. I didn't know it could sound like that. Why does that pedal make this sound like this? And so, well, this is, you know, a delay pedal, this is a reverb pedal, you know, this is just like an algorithm pedal that does this, and blah blah blah. And it was amazing. And I walked out there with two feelings. I walked out there with, I can't believe I'm getting paid for this, because it was easy is the wrong word, but it felt comfortable.
Yeah.
I thought, you know, I could do this a lot.
Day.
And then I walked out also with this feeling of that School of Rock quote when he's like, those who can't do, teach, and those that can't teach Jim. And I felt like, am I selling myself here? Because like, right, because I've spent, you know, since I was 15, I'm 30 this year. And I was like, this is like 15 years of my life and expertise and just me doing self-lessons. I've never been taught guitar. And I'm giving it away for this. Am I valuing myself? Like, blah, blah. And it goes back to that ego thing. I think you've got to like kind of learn to, you know, realise what your worth is, isn't it? But from that, I did loads more and I started to really enjoy it, and it just became okay with me. But it was a weird shock at first. I don't know how you felt when you did it. But.
Do you let them ask you questions as well?
Yeah.
Were there any like common themes or any interesting questions that the students have come back with? Because first of all, they want to like know how to get famous or get to this level, but like you're teaching them like really weird sounds and noises. But did they have any like really open questions that you had to sort of think on your feet on? You were like, not thought of that in music really, or my path.
Yeah. I think, it's interesting. They're all different. You realise when you go in, I mean, it's something you don't realise when you're in school. You feel like everyone's the same. We're all in a uniform. We're all the same. But I think from my perspective, when I was like there as the teacher, I mean, if I can call it that, I felt like they were all so individual. There was one guy there. He was playing like really jazzy keyboard. If you heard it, mate, it was like, oh, this guy could be in like Mac Miller's band. Like, he's amazing, just like these under thing. And then you get someone else there who's like a singer and with like very little confidence. They were afraid to like get involved, but they would be the ones you really hone in on because. And they would, I don't know, they just ask you things that you just like. You're right, and you weren't prepared for. Like, how did you get into this? And then it becomes about you, and you feel like, no, this is meant to be about you. But you tell them, and they go, oh, that makes me feel better, because I remember one kid was like, that makes me feel like I could do it then. I was like, well, I don't, and it's just something that didn't click with me at the time. I didn't feel like they couldn't do that. You know, I was there to show them an option, but until I explained how I have done it, they then felt like they could do it too. And it was just a really kind of, I don't know, for the first time I kind of realised that these student kids feel like they can't do things. Do you know what I mean?
I mean,
and that's what you need to teach them.
Pedestal people, don't they? They put you here in this line, and it's like, no, this is just somebody like you enjoying that quest, enjoying their journey, but found ways to make it to this level, like where they are playing them shows, but they're no different to you. It's just again, the thing that binds us all is that passion.
We've all been in school and felt like that person that, oh, well, I couldn't do that because this guy, he's the sport guy. Yeah, I could never do that. Yeah, you know, so I need to find my place in the world doing something different. And I don't think it should be like that. I feel like it was the first time I realised it when I was working with these kids anyway, where I felt like, well, of course you could do that. If you want to do it, you can do it.
Well, I think 80%, maybe 70% of it's all mind created. Yeah. Because like not anybody, but you can get on YouTube, like we were saying, tutorial, pick up guitar and start learning chords. And then suddenly, if you're really into it, you get good at it and you can play a certain way. But after that, it's all the mind. It's all about like how far you want to go with it. What's your limitations? Why are there limitations? How can you push past that? Yeah. And to meet somebody like you and hear them stories, I suppose they've already got sort of the technical sides and they've got an idea of music, but they really at the minute more than ever need to hear like how they can get to that next level or get to that point. Definitely. And it's an attitude shift.
There's also no right or wrong way of doing it.
Yeah, I agree.
I feel like if other people tried to live in the footsteps of the way I did it, it wouldn't be right for them, and vice versa. You know, I think the two biggest things like that would get you to the point of finding whatever your successes are, and the goalposts will always shift. It's just the perseverance and the persistence to do so. It's a marathon, not a sprint, basically.
And listening to people as mentors, like not having to be them people, like Tupac Shakur said, role is something people play, and model, that's one keeps going off. Role is something people play, and model is something people make. Both those things are fake. Rap in there, but he didn't really believe in role models because people just wanted to like follow in their footsteps. But like Russell Brand's book, like mentors, like picking each person and just taking a quality that you like and going, oh, I enjoy that part of that person, maybe I can implement that in my life, but not becoming that person. Because your vantage points and your life points and everything you've been on so varied and different, but there are a lot of similarities. We can share stories and it can help people on that way.
Definitely.
I really love being in education because I had such a terrible time there myself and such like harrowing stories of bullying for years and years, and it was horrid. And that's something that happened with the teachers. I'll tell this story, like me and my mum went into school and it was my last call. It was literally like, he's out, if after this he doesn't start going on track, he's going. So they sat in, and my mum's got a different second name. She's a Mullen-Farose, which is my sister's a Mullen-Farose. Because my granddad's from Persia and came over and was a doctor in Ripley, which is quite funny because he used to fix people and look after him, but they were all quite racist, so they were like, we like you but hate everyone else. It's a great story. They're like the ones fixing us though. So we went into school and I'm sitting there, little Mikey, chubby Mikey at the time, and the head teacher is like ex-Marine, and he's literally just he's like, seriously, he doesn't listen, he can't sit down, he won't sit still, he just doesn't know how to spell. I mean, I was in year 9, he's like, how old is he? And my mum, who's sassy, like really hard, she's built up an empire, I'm proud of her, but I've lived in a authority of life, like big scary figures, and my mum's just going, it's your responsibility, he comes here to learn, it's not at home, what are you doing here? And they're just shouting at each other. Now my sister, who's at the same school, is the teacher's wet dream, which is like A star, right. Incredible achiever, knew her path and was just ready for it. So at the end of this exchange, the head teacher, is an ex-Marine, just smashed his hand on the table really hard, I remember it, and he went, Mrs. Markham, what we're going to do about your boy? And my mum, who is really proud of her heritage and her name, Mrs. Mullen-Farose, like my sister, went, I am not a Mrs. Markham, I'm Mrs. Mullen-Farose. And the teacher just sat there then, and the complete energy changed. It just went really quiet, really calm. And he went, are you Beth's mum? And my mum really proudly then just looked up and went, yeah, I'm Beth's mum. And I remember the teacher, he looked at me and he looked at me mum and he went, you must be so disappointed in Michael.
Really? Fucking hell.
And I remember,
That's
man,
mad.
it was just like, ouch.
Yeah.
That kills me, man. And really remember that moment. I speak of that moment, and my mum laughs at it, but it broke me in two in that. So going into schools now and into education and meeting these little mini Mikeys or students where it's like they're just so confused in there, because education, it just doesn't work the way it's working for some people. Some aren't designed to sit there, regurgitate information and play it back. And I get to speak to them now on a level and say, listen, you don't fit into this way of being, but there's something where you will fit in. There's something that will mean something to you. You'll have a passion. There's so many out there, and you'll meet people on your line. You'll meet people who are engaged with you on that. And yeah, I get to have that at every school I go to. There's always one anecdote or one moment where I'm like, thank God, like it gave me something that day. So I love, and I think it's changing. I think education, people in the system, my partner, who's an amazing woman, is in schools all the time. Oh, she's a teacher, so she's gonna be, but like, she never comes back with stories of like, oh, this kid did really well in the exam today or did this. I had this beautiful moment where they come and express themselves or share their emotions to me. And that's what people are desperate for at the minute, and young people in particular. It's confusing times, strange times.
Yeah, right. Everyone's got some sort of like horrible story like that from school, haven't they? It's just mad that yours is so shocking. That's crazy. Yeah.
Again, though, like, it's one of those that as a good stories come out of it, or something where people can relate to and be like, wow, I've been knocked down like that before. But maybe it isn't all doom and gloom. Maybe I'm not stupid. Maybe I'm not nothing. And I have got something that I can offer the world and put into it. So I think what you're doing there, working in those environments, to just keep being yourself, just keep being real and keep being like, yeah, I thought I had to make it and I keep having to go to this level and we keep having to achieve. But that's false in its essence. You have to remain true. You have to remain like enjoying life at every step. It's not going to be all sunshines and rainbows, but you've got to make the best out of it at any moment. And when you're playing a gig like you did in a pub with 14 people there in the middle of nowhere, enjoy it, because you're making the music, you're creating something that you enjoy and love. So
definitely,
I think this is what we've got to keep pushing forward and keep going away with.
Yeah, definitely, mate.
It's been beautiful, 100%. This, man. Would you come and do it again?
Yeah, definitely. 100%. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, of course I would.
I'm so happy I've met you, man. I think we could just sit for a beer for ages.
I know,
and just go off. I know you've got a world to live in and places to be. So where can people find you? I don't know if you've got this new solo thing that you're going to do on your own, and the band and everything.
Well, if they want to follow my band, that's at Eyre Llew, and that's like EYRELLEW. And then
gits.
I'm Samuel Heaton, so I'm at Samuel Heaton _ on socials. But yeah,
it's been,
keep in touch,
guys. You've listened to Sam Heaton. What an absolute gem of a person. Thank you so much for doing this for me, man.
My pleasure, mate. Thank
really
you.
appreciate
Thanks for inviting me.
With the Old Farm Bus, back of the bus sessions. I hope you stay tuned in. Hey up, Nan, I know you're listening. Probably it, but thank you for being here, guys. Peace and love. One love, always.